Hello stylists! This video is a full walkthrough of Chapter 2 of the Danqing Island update, combined from my previous Chapter 2 guides, so you don't have to fuss around looking for the next part. If you have any Chapter 2 questions or want to chat about the story, please do leave a comment. After you're done with the Danqing story, I suggest checking out the Cultural Heritage Guide to unlock 3 new pieces to style with. Let's go ahead and complete Chapter 2. At the end of Chapter 1, we waited for a good day for Granny Yao, to hopefully see if she can recall the full lyrics to the nursery rhyme. And this day is now today, so let's head back over to Inkville, and we can take the Inkville Market Warp Spire to get close. Walk to the home and speak with the ladies. Yun will encourage Granny Yao to share the full version, which gives a lead of heading up the backside of the mountain to the pavilion. Nikki isn't deterred by the safety issues, and Yun mentions an older path that has been recently blocked by a rock slide and hasn't been used in a while. Nikki has a great idea about using the Danqing ability option. She thinks it might be possible to erase things with her Danqing ability, using some of the rainwater that has been known to vanish others. Nikki remembers Miss Sui collected some rainwater during the investigations and heads over there with Momo. The home is just across the main village road. Search when prompted at the front of the house to pick it up. Find the small path alongside the mountains at the side of the village and start heading over. Walk up to the boulder and investigate. Nikki gives it a shot, and we now have the way clear for us. It's quite foggy and plenty of collectibles are here along this path, so definitely take the time to explore this later. Make your way up the path. Once we get to the small bridge, we begin running into S-Ling packs on the other side. Take them out and continue forward. There is one more pack of S-Lings to take down along the way. At the end of this initial pathway, it looks like a dead end, but ensure your Danqing Craft ability is equipped, and use it on this soaring parasol. We can use these parasols to get to higher places. Use the plunge ability once standing on it and it will move upward, like an elevator. And now let's unlock this Loong Watch Pavilion Warp Spire. Continue forward, following the path, and we see a scroll unfurl itself. Momo pointing out it seems to be missing some pieces. Use the Danqing Craft on the scroll, and we now have unlocked the Danqing Realm. As the tutorial explains, we may now use similar scrolls to enter the Danqing Realm. Click on the enter on the scroll, and let's start checking it out. Nikki and Momo are impressed that the nursery rhyme turned out to be true. Worried about the villagers, she wants to begin exploring. They end up finding a few more scrolls, Nikki noting the middle scroll looks so much like Danqing Island. They must be linked. And beside it shows other paintings, a cat holding a brush and elegant robes, which seems to tug at Nikki's memory. They still haven't found anybody yet, but maybe this place has a village similar to the island. Nikki moves forward, ready to have a closer look. Even Momo misses Miss Sui and is determined to find her. We see straight ahead are some cloud perch kites. Use the Danqing ability on them one by one to make your way down. The last one is a wind chaser kite. Use the ability on it like the others and allow it to float Nikki closer to the path ahead. Jumping off here and heading straight towards the village, Nikki thinks she can hear Miss Sui's voice. They hear her voice coming straight from a painting and ask how did this happen? Miss Sui explains she woke up like that after losing consciousness in the rain. She mentions that the other missing villagers are in the same situation, transformed into objects and paintings and scattered throughout. Nikki, curious about why her mentor is an inkstone, wonders if there's a pattern or clue to the objects that they are turned into. Miss Sui recalls a story of when she was younger and always held her inkstone. When questioned if reincarnation is real, she says maybe it could be possible. Nikki wonders if using her Danqing ability will help restore Miss Sui. Use the ability on the painting, but unfortunately there is no reaction. She suggests searching for Meng, the first missing villager, as he might have more clues. We can now speak with several other paintings and find out how they managed inside the realm and get some more clues. The lantern painting, who's actually the missing watchman, speaks about how the blank scroll belongs to Meng, and that he mutters about everything is made of ink, and once rained on, they are ruined. He believes that if he can replenish his ink, he could possibly go home. It's mentioned that he wanders off as an egret and steals ink from the others. The paper kite painting, who is a bookstore owner, also gives some clues about an ink pool and missing ink. Find the painting of a raft, and this is Xiaoxi. Nikki explains that her parents have always been proud of her and want nothing more than her safe return. Speak more with her, where we can learn more about Meng's daughter and assure her that we are going to find a solution to bring everyone back. Where some voices are coming from the stone bridge painting. The egret jumps to the painting, and now it's up to us to chase it down. Walk towards the table, and a tutorial will show us that we need to adjust the paintings to create a path. We want to make one continuous path throughout. Interact with the table to adjust the paintings. I actually did make a mistake my first time doing this. The painting should line up like this to create one full continuous pathway, when correctly placed. My mistake was not using the up and down options on the painting properly. If you happen to make a mistake too, you will be able to adjust these later as needed and head back in. For example, I was able to rearrange them, so I only had to use the first and final scroll to finish it up. Ensure your paintings are in the correct positions for one continuous pathway, and use the Danqing cropped ability on the first painting and then enter. This game mode acts like a 2D side-scroller game. You'll also want your Danqing ability equipped to help explore throughout. Meng is here at the start, but as you get closer, he runs away to the next painting. Let's follow the blinks and jump forward. Here we have a parasol, similar to the one that we saw in the mountain path in the Trace to the Past chapter. Use the ability to activate the parasol and plunge down to lift us up to even higher heights. After this house, we have kites to use to help us across. We see some S-lings, purify them before moving forward. Here we see some small ink cats by the next building. We can see on the UI that there's an indicator showing 1 fish and 4 cats. These are extras defined within the paintings to fully explore them. You can choose to push forward only now, but I'll show you the full pathway for this Danqing Trail. Interact with the cats for rewards, and then let's jump up and forward to the right. After this building is the exit, and we can see from the UI in the top left that we are within the next painting now. Move forward and use the kite to float us down. If we look left, there is a lotus that we can restore. Jump to the left and we have found some more cats. Interact for rewards, and let's get back over to the right. We have an S-ling and a parasol. I ended up trying to get behind it to hit it on the bottom, but in hindsight, you should probably use the parasol to jump up and over it. Use this parasol to get over the building, and we find a fish on the path right here. Speak with them for rewards. Up ahead, we have more S-lings with shields. Try to hit them from behind. There's a small interactable ahead that is a message from Miss Cat that you can read. Use the series of parasols to jump all the way up. I move left first and then use the kites to help me find some more cats. Head to the right again and float along the path. We spot Meng again just before the exit before he runs off. This is an example of the path not lining up as I mentioned earlier, so with a little movie magic, let's push ahead to the final part of this trail. We have S-lings at the start here, purify them first, and we find our final inkling cats on the path. Don't forget to use your ability to restore this lotus, like I almost did. Take out the S-lings along the way again and utilize the parasol. At the end here, we finally catch the egret and can now exit. Once outside, the stone bridge painting is thankful for your help. When asking Meng for clues, he explains that he doesn't have many. He has flown everywhere, and it's an endless world without borders. He spoke with the other paintings and found that they were also villagers from Danqing Island. He speculated that Danqing Island could even be a vast painting, possibly only beings with souls could exist within it and be reborn. When questioned, he explains that he's traveled throughout the scrolls, and the only constant is the deep ink pool, which he thinks must be the source. But he was unable to touch it, and resorted to stealing ink from the others. Nikki wonders if she is unable to restore living beings, and only inanimate objects because she's missing ink souls. After learning about Nikki's dancing ability, he wonders if she could use the ink pool to help restore living beings. While Meng is worried for Nikki, she is confident that she'll be fine with Momo by her side. Now Nikki wants to attempt to use the ink pool. We can see it's like a large lake in the center. Let's jump and head right over. When close enough, dip the brush in the lake. Nikki notes that the ink feels sluggish, and Momo speculates if the purple mist is a sign of dark essence. A group of Eslings spawn throughout the village. Take them out, and Nikki is worried for Miss Sui and the others. We can head straight towards her painting. There are many Eslings along the way to take out. When close, Miss Sui starts speaking about how she remembers everything. As Nikki gets closer, we now see a scene explaining what happened here. Mirrorland collapsed, and Artist Cat lost everything. She took what was left and used it as ink to paint the realm across a scroll. Where her brush touched, mountains rose and villages took form, but there was no life. Artist Cat used her own ink soul to bind her to the painting, creating the ink pool and making it a place of reincarnation so life could flourish. But as her soul weakened, she knew the inevitable. She dotted the Loong's eyes with ink from the ink pool and bound it to the cycle of reincarnation as its guardian. Watching over the cycle of life, the painted world was becoming real. Artist Cat used what she had left to paint the Twinsight gate and taught Loong about the human heart. She left behind the words, "When bonds must end, new ones may begin. In time, we shall meet again." Only the maple trees on Long Peak remained unchanged over centuries. Nikki realized the vision she had in the Sea of Stars was lingering echoes from its destruction, and that everything here, the realm, the island, and all within it, were crafted by Artist Cat herself. With Loong as its guardian and the cycle in chaos, something must be wrong with the ink pool. She concludes that the issue must be with Loong. She thinks that the next step is locating the Loong Pagoda from inside the realm. We have now also acquired Artist Cat's brush. We can see on the map that it's on the other side of the ink pool. I mainly followed the path and then tried a shortcut using Lotus on the water. Once close, we can interact and find there's a door. The realm seems to be the blueprint of the island, where only objects first painted by Artist Cat exist. Buildings and other items so later aren't in the realm. She thinks this door leads to Long Peak and may lead her to Loong. Enter the gate and we're transported to a very barren place, which must have been the original peak before it was painted. Momo spots a scroll that could lead outside back to the island, and Nikki is determined to find out what happened to Loong and the ink pool. And we start here by making our way towards a scroll that can bring us to the island side. Move forward and use Danqing Craft to activate the kite ahead first. Then we can use the Lotus once restored to continue. There's also some Rouge Lotus that we can pick up while we are here. We can see ahead a small glowing ball. Use the ability on this, and then we can see that it's used to lift stones up and create a staircase for us. We can use these to jump up and float towards the other side. Activate the scroll, and we are now back on the island near Long Peak. Pick up the side peak of Long Peak Warp Spire. I check out the Eslings ahead, and looking at the map, I decide to take a shortcut jumping down from this point. There are quite a few Eslings grouped up here and along this bridge, so do be careful when taking them out. On the other side is another warp spire for the mid-slope to pick up. Momo spots the Twinsight gate, and Nikki realizes that it's what's used for the Loong to travel without anyone else noticing. When trying to open the gate, it seems the brush doesn't work, and then we're interrupted by an inky cat asking how we got there. They introduce themselves as Mo Dodo and ask for some help with pigments. Nikki catches that they know Miss Loong, and we find out that Miss Loong used to live at the peak with Miss Cat, and that the Inklings were the first beings who lived with them. It also seems that Miss Loong is over at the painting pavilion, and usually spends time there in silence nowadays. We can see the pavilion looks like it's right ahead. Follow the path, take out the S-lings, and use plunge on the parasol to get higher. Continue following the path, and we can see off to the side is the 5 in a row game mode to also unlock, which we can complete later. Use jumps, floating, and the parasols to continue our way up. Just before the pavilion, we can unlock the Long Peak Summit Warp Spire. Move closer, and we actually find Miss Bai, who we confirm is the Loong we are looking for, and that she is the one who sealed the ink pool. Miss Bai reveals that being the guardian took an immense emotional toll on her, only allowed to watch over as those she cared for faded away again and again. She decided to seal the cycle to prevent further pain and sorrow of separation. By keeping things static, she wants nothing more than to search for the one that she lost. Nikki points out that this is counter to Artist Cat's wishes, who established these systems to try and recreate a whole new world. Miss Bai, waiting a millennium, decided to forge herself a new path. She didn't intend for the village to suffer, but we confirm the strange happenings are caused by the sealing of the ink pool. She leaves to the pagoda to try and find another way forward from here. Nikki needs to find a way through the Twinsight gate, and thinks finding clues from the Inklings might be her way forward. We'll next want to speak with the 3 spots of Inklings for clues. The first is just on the bridge alongside the pavilion. Mo Yan, whose job is cleaning and tidying. They share a story of how Miss Cat painted a series of scrolls of what her life might have been like in Inkville, and that they were accidentally left out in the sun, but a sudden rain washed away their ink. But they still haven't forgotten Miss Cat's face to this day. When asked about the Twinsight gate, they keep it tidy, but have never opened it. Only a Miss Bai has been using it this whole time. And we learn about her name, Yue Bai, which means moonlight in Miss Cat's hometown, and had given that name to Loong. After speaking more about Miss Bai's turmoil and decisions, we get a hint that Mo Yu may know more about the gate. They love barbecue, and we may be able to tempt them with food for information. Moving along the pathway, jump to the left to some rocks and we can speak with Mo Zhu, who is talking about barbecue and tea. After giving an opinion on what's best, they speak about prepping things for Miss Cat's return and keeping their skills sharp. But they share that they're worried that they feel sluggish and very concerned that their ink might even be fading away and won't be able to welcome back Miss Cat in time. Nikki reassures them that she'll resolve the ink pool issues. While Mo Zhu doesn't have any clues for the gate, they do give Nikki some barbecue. Jumping back to the path, we have another Inkling to talk on the right side after the water. Investigate the rock, and an Inkling jumps out from the book. Speak with them, and they thank Nikki for their freedom. They got stuck in the book after writing. They surprisingly recognize Nikki and Momo, and share that they are Miss Mo. Their role is recording the stories of the island. They've watched over the village and record all that happens there. Nikki is surprised that they leave the peak at all. Miss Mo shares that they stay hidden to not startle the villagers due to being quite unusual. Artist Cat had at one time taken them out with her in disguise, and she recalls memories of the Yingwang festival from the past. Impressed that Artist Cat's brush has manifested, she relays again the story of Mirlin's destruction, and Artist Cat's use of her own ink soul to bring back life to the land she painted and manifested. Miss Mo doesn't have any clues for the gate, but says someone at the High Pavilion might be helpful, but they're usually slacking off. With the barbecue we were gifted, Nikki plans to use it to lure out Mo Yu. Walk up the path and place the barbecue where prompted after the stairs. A fish Inkling is lured out by the smell and startled, but Nikki flatters them a bit to find out more about the Twins Gate. With her plan working, Mo Yu shares that they were the first Inkling created and have the most knowledge of stories of the island or Miss Cat and Miss Bai. Asking about the origins of the gate, Mo Yu shares that at the start, the Inksoul's emergence brought about many changes and the island was unstable. When troubled, Miss Cat came upon a golden red koi that swam with all its strength and expressed a deep desire to become a Loong. She painted a towering mountain and crafted a long gate. Changing the water flow upward, the koi uses strength to make the leap and become a real Loong. They forged a deep Yingwang, the first red ribbon, as a symbol of their connection. The island began to flourish and prosper after this, and she painted the gate to visit with her companion and celebrate the festivals. The gate has 2 keys. the brush serving as the key at the Loong Pagoda entrance, departing the earthly realm and returning to the circle of life. For the Long Peak entrance, the key is one of Miss Bai's scales, departing the circle of life and entering the earthly realm. After learning about the keys, Nikki reveals that she knows these maple leaves, and one transforms into a scale on her palm. Mo Yu, shocked, says that only Artist Cat could reveal the true scales, and Nikki confirms that she is Artist Cat. With her memory of the past restored, Nikki wants to find Miss Bai at the pagoda as soon as possible. Mo Yu points out a kite along the rocks that she can use to get there faster. Just outside the pavilion and to the left, beside the rocks, is a kite that we can restore and use. At the end of its path, we can jump and float down right next to the gate. Nikki then uses the scale to open the gate, and she transforms into the Forever Bond 5-star outfit. Momo encourages her as she passes through the gate into the pagoda. We now confront the final boss of the chapter, Inkshade painting Loong. This is a fight similar to the first one, where we need to be patient and find openings within the attack patterns. At the start of the battle, dodge all incoming attacks until the ink platforms begin to spawn. Restore it and jump on top. And there's a transition where the platforms are now floating. More platforms will appear, and some need to be restored through your Danqing ability. Make sure to face the correct way towards the platform and then use the ability. Also be mindful of the attack patterns hitting the platforms. They will make the platforms unusable. We want to make it to the platform nearest to the painting and purify when the Loong becomes static here to deal the first hit. After we make a successful hit, the fight will transition into the next phase. Wait for the new platforms to appear and continue to move upwards. The Loong will begin a channeled range attack, and we want to safely stay away from it. Momo calls out that it's our chance, and platforms will appear again. Move forward and purify again with this opening. We now have new attacks added. Watch out for the split Dark Essence attacks and restore the platforms beside you to safely jump to them as quickly as possible. During this part, restore the platforms as soon as you can. Watch out for another ranged attack after it exits the painting, and jump to the safe side. Even with the mistakes I made throughout this fight, which there were many, I found this fight pretty lenient. Wait for the opening again and make the final purification strike. After the fight, we transition to Nikki floating, and various images of illustrated memories show up on the screen. Use the Danqing ability to start restoring sections. Locate the unpainted parts and restore the images as they show. Be sure to restore sections like the floors, backgrounds, and other details where you don't see any color filled in. After all images are filled in, Yue Bai acknowledges Nikki as Artist Cat, and they have a talk. Nikki admitted that she didn't know the full consequences of using her ink soul. The island thrived until it was like a real world again, and she was able to reconnect through the sea of stars. Although the sealing of the ink pool almost prevented their reunion, the tapestry of fate weaved a new possibility for them to reunite. Miss Bai questions the point of parting and losing each other, but Nikki points out the hope in new hellos, and that there are always a chance to restore connections with others based on their journey together in Inkville. Nikki is really proud of how this world flourished, a place filled with farewells, laughter, worries, and all the comforts of home. Keeping things the same forever would make it stagnant. With new Yingwang forming, old regrets and misunderstandings can change and grow. Regretful, Miss Bai asks if it's too late. Nikki says it's never too late. Thanks her for being the guardian, and now that everything has stabilized, she can now lay down the burden of guarding the cycle of reincarnation. Miss Bai is worried about forgetting her, but Nikki says that she can be the one to meet her all over again this time. After restoring her eyes, Miss Bai invites Nikki to journey the world once more, together. After the loading screen, we have a new sketch to unlock, 5-star earrings called Old Illusions. And we find ourselves on the Loong, able to move about forward and freely. Miss Bai begins speaking about how Nikki granting her wish was the biggest blessing of her life, and that these earrings symbolized their Yingwang. She says how it's been so long since she's seen the island, Nikki pointing out that it's so beautiful now due to Miss Bai guarding it this whole time and allowing it to flourish. She gains a new understanding of Nikki's words from back then and now, and isn't afraid of the cycle anymore, finally letting go of her obsession. When they finish talking, Nikki will be dropped. With this, Untying the Knot quest is now complete. New Blossoms of Old Branches is the final piece of Chapter 2. Momo comforts Nikki, and Nikki talks about using the unsealed ink pool to restore everyone back. We can open the map, and at the quest marker is Ink Realm Scroll, Long Watch Pavilion, and we can directly teleport to it. Head over and re-enter the Danqing Realm. From here, jump down towards the pool and dip brush in the ink. We can see the pool is glowing this time around also, showing that it is restored. Nikki says it worked and wants to use her ability on the paintings. Follow the path back into the village, and Nikki will then use her brush on the painting, Momo pointing out that there's no more sound from it. Nikki is excited to check back in Inkville. Opening the map, we can swap between the two maps over on the right side. Click it, and we can use the Inkville Market Warp Spire to head right back. Walk towards the group of villagers, and Nikki is happy to see Miss Sui safe and sound. She scolds Nikki like she always does, but Nikki points out that it was her who got stuck in the rain. Miss Sui shares that she doesn't recall anything between the rain falling and waking up back in the village. Nikki told the villagers a brief account of what happened, but left out information on the ink souls, but spoke to them about reincarnation existing. The villagers reunited are so thankful that Nikki has saved Inkville and their connections. After some more chatter, Nikki asks if everyone is truly back, and Miss Sui points out that they are over by the bridge, but no one remembers what happened either. We can now head forward and join everyone just before the bridge. Meng points out Nikki is all grown up now, and asks if he really was gone for 10 years, as he has no memory of it. Giving a similar explanation to this group of villagers, everyone is impressed at the news and thankful to Nikki. While they give credit to Nikki, Nikki shares the credit with Miss Bai, but is then questioned on who that is. Xiao Chu mentions that she saw someone that might fit their description over in the Flower Grove. Nikki wants to check immediately, and Wendy suggests bringing a Yingwang gift. Now we get the choice of what to bring. Feel free to choose either one you like best. I went with Ronghua. They remind her where she is located, and you'll get the gift item to bring right over. You can then walk over or use the warp spire to get closer. You must also visit during daytime hours as pointed out by the quest objective. Once close, Nikki approaches and Miss Bai turns around, her eyes restored. Nikki introduces herself and saying that the past is in the past now, and gifts Miss Bai. She reciprocates with a red ribbon gift of her own. With this quest complete, we also now have a new 3-star accessory, Woven Memories. If you're doing this quest during Danqing season, don't forget to also pick up your extra diamond rewards from the event screen. How did you enjoy this quest and story? Personally, it really hit home in many ways, touching on themes of grief, sadness, reunion, hope, and new relationships in several ways. I think it did a beautiful job touching on all these themes and honestly made me emotional in certain parts. I hope you enjoyed this journey too alongside Nikki. I can't wait to see what else is to come. Thanks so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, so I know this video helped you out today. Check out my socials for more content, or become a member of the channel if you'd like to show your support. I really appreciate you all so much, and I hope to see you again next time.